DayZ's new winter map is extremely difficult, so in this video I'm going to teach you everything you need to know not only to survive but to thrive in this deadly new environment, from the very basics to even some of my own personal secrets. On Sakhal, you spawn in with nothing more than a bandage, a chemlight and a badly damaged knife with minimal uses. You can quickly get rid of the chemlight as you probably won't need it, as the lights are brighter on Sakhal than any of the other maps, and due to inventory sizes being smaller, this patch is crucial to prioritise only the items you need. The first thing you want to do with the knife is check that you've got a decent spawn. The southwest is the best area for loot on Sakhal, as it contains a military island, a bunker, the airfield and the two largest cities on the map. There's really not much going on the eastern side. The best way to check your spawn is to turn 180 degrees away from the coast, and if the volcano is located on your left, you're on the western side of the map. If it's on your right or you can't see the volcano, it's best to use a knife to respawn. Having said this, these are some of the most western towns and the best spawn points where you can't see the volcano. Learn these, it's pretty easy. For example, this is the only town with 4 dorms and my favourite spawn on Sakhal. Once you've got a spawn that you're happy with, you're going to need to prioritise making a fire fast. The cold will start to kill you long before hunger or thirst does. You can craft a fire straight out of spawn by using your knife to gather at least 1 piece of bark from a tree, and it's advised that you use your hands to gather 3 to 5 sticks from a bush rather than a knife to conserve its low durability. Combine 1 stick and a piece of bark to craft a hand drill kit, which will allow you to light a fire. To craft a fire, you can either gather another piece of bark and combine it with these sticks, or you can use another one of the knife's uses to cut up items of clothing into rags. I prefer this option as it allows you to use the spare rags to craft improvised clothing. And remember, the wool dress is the best item to cut up as it provides 6 rags for 1 use. In an emergency, you could use your bandage as kindling to make a fire, although this is ill-advised as it will be the few disinfected healing items you find for some time. Sitting by a fire will allow you to get a heat buff, which will make it temporarily impossible to take damage from the cold, giving you time to loot the town. You need to prioritise the following items before you're ready to make your journey out of town. You want to gather any clothing that has better insulation. There are 5 tiers of insulation: worst, low, medium, high and best. Do keep in mind that the condition of an item affects its insulation. For example, a snowstorm Ushanka provides the best insulation, but when badly damaged it only provides medium insulation. You can repair clothing with duct tape and sewing kits, so keep a hold of these items as they are very useful throughout the entire adventure. You also need to prioritise food. Most of the food that you find will be frozen, but we can deal with this later. Just remember to keep it in either your jacket or pants slots, as it will slowly thaw out within your inventory. Some foods can't freeze, such as crisps, so if you find these, make sure to eat them immediately to conserve that ever so important inventory space. The final item that you're going to need is another sharp tool, as your knife will have very few uses left to it. Other items that are useful but not necessary are vitamins to fight off illnesses, chelating tablets to purify water, and saline bags which can be used to provide your character with hydration. Once you've got a little bit of gear, you're going to need to make another fire to replenish your heat buff stat. At the fire, take this time to defrost any food you have. It's quicker if you place the food on the cooking slot than by the fire. Having said this, it may be worth making a fire in the woods as you are very exposed during this process. Remember, every fresh spawn spawns with a knife, so are extremely dangerous. Smoking rising from a house might just give you away. I've had countless starts on Sakhal just by rushing someone with my freshie knives who were distracted at their fire.
Fernando, what the fuck? Why would you do that?
Yes, I am evil, and now I'm going to shamelessly ask you to subscribe if you haven't already. We're so close to my goal of 100k by the end of the year. Now, if you're confident with Sakhal and have a decent bit of food, you can definitely start your journey south from here. However, if this is one of your first times on the map, you should definitely take the time to fish, as you're probably going to get lost and you don't want to run out of food. Remember, as of the new update, all you need to fish is a knife. You can cut up cloves into rags to make a rope by combining 12 together, which you can then attach to a long stick to make an improvised fishing rod, and you can then fashion a hook out of a small stick and knife. And of course, make sure to gather worms by looking at the dirt with your knife. Do note that you can't gather worms from the snow. Don't forget though, with the new fishing update, you're going to have to yank in your rod every time you see a splash. But once you're confident with your food supply, you can start heading down south. The best way to do this is to place the coast on your right and follow it round. This will ensure that you won't get lost while staying on a route with enough supplies to sustain yourself. A little tip is to loot all these wooden boats. These provide fishing supplies, but more importantly, heat packs which can be used to keep warm. Although if you're confident with the map, there's nothing stopping you taking shortcuts across the mainland. However, do keep in mind that nearly every source of water inland is frozen, so it'll be nearly impossible to fish for food. Just before you arrive at the main city, or what I like to call Georgetown, as that's what it's called on the Arma 3 version of the map, and I have no idea how to pronounce that. You'll see a small industrial, and if you follow this dirt road just before it, and then this hiking trail, you'll reach a spring. These are one of the very few spots on the map where you can get fresh, clean drinking water, so drink as much as you can now. If you want to find more of these, they are marked by these small blue squiggly lines on the in-game map. You should now be good on water and have a sustainable way of getting food and the tools to craft a fire to replenish your heat buff when necessary. From here you can head into the big city. It's pretty good for loot with hunting supplies spawning at the carnival by the docks, a massive hospital inland and a makeshift military base at the school. Head a little further south along the coast from Georgetown and you'll soon reach the infamous land bridge. Now if you haven't experienced any PvP yet, you most definitely will. Here you're going to need a weapon to defend yourself. But if you're not ready to brave the military island just yet, you can follow the main road which will eventually lead you to an airfield and the second biggest town on a map. This is a great place to gear up and an even better place to find the glow plug, the best item on Sakhal. Why? Because it's the item that's crucial for completing the bunker on a military island. To attempt the military island, you're going to need a weapon that you're capable of defending yourself with, as this is a very high traffic area. You're also going to need a lot of food or supplies to catch fish and make a fire, as this island is a lot bigger than it looks. You're going to be here for a while. Once on the island, I'd again stick to either the west or eastern coast and follow it round. I prefer the western one, but either is going to lead you to one of two navy bases where you can get some basic military loot. You then want to follow the coast round until you reach the bunker. I recommend entering this, even if you don't have the glow plug, as players often leave a lot of high tier loot dropped on the floor. However, do not enter here unless you have a light source. Don't be an idiot like me and get trapped in here in complete darkness and then have to spend the next 30 minutes trying to navigate my way out with nothing more than my muzzle flash. If you do have a glow plug, you're going to have to head to this electrical building. You can spot this by heading up this radio tower by the bunker and it's literally right there. Here you can find the generator and switches for the bunker. You add the glow plug to the generator like so, and you may also have to add gasoline, but there's usually already some in here from the last player who used it. Once you've turned the generator on, you can open the locked rooms in the bunker with these switches. Keep in mind you can only open one at a time or you'll trip the power, so if you have a teammate it's best to keep one of them here to control the switches. If you're solo, this is about to be a lot of running for you, although the loot is so good you probably only need to loot a few of the rooms. I found plate carriers, suppressed SVDs, AKMs with drum mags and MVGs in my first bunker run. You should now basically be at the end game. There's another navy docks a little further if you need some additional military supplies, but that's about it to the island. By now, you may have noticed that you've only been able to find Eastern equipment like AKs and SVDs. If you want NATO equipment and weapons such as the M4, you're going to have to find and fix up a boat. Boats spawn along the coast and are surprisingly easy to find on a military island and need a spark plug and fuel to fix up. With a boat, you can then head to the southern islands on a map. On these islands, you have a chance to find washed up shipping containers. This is the only way to get Western loot, including bullets, on the map. Is it worth it? Well, that's up to you, but I'd much rather have an AK-74 with an endless supply of ammunition than an M4 with 7 bullets that I found in a container. With all this loot, it's probably now worth thinking about building a base, and there's countless of crazy locations you can build a base on this map. My favourite are the caves, and I'm going to do a video detailing all the best cave and base location spots in the very near future, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. Some additional tips to be aware of is to try to not eat wolf or bear meat. This will now make you sick, however it's totally fine to eat the fat from these animals. If you head inland, you can find these hot springs. Don't drink from these, but if you're cold, you can sit in them to warm yourself up. If you're desperate for water, you can drink snow or collect snow in a container. Drinking this will give you heavy metal poisoning, but you can easily cure this with these tablets, which are fairly common. You can either add this to a container to purify it or consume some after drinking. Both methods will protect you. And that's everything for today's video. Hopefully you found it helpful. And don't forget to let me know how you're finding the new map.